moving on to the first session in the Club Resilience stream, we're very lucky to have with us two of the executive members of CKI District in Western Canada. You talk about an organization that has not only survived, but thrived during the pandemic. The CKI District has grown in their numbers, soon to be a new club in Thunder Bay. And I've had the opportunity to be part of their fall rally and an amazing district convention, all virtual. So we're so glad to have Governor Rachel Yang and Lieutenant Governor Kai Jun Ma as our speakers on CKI. So ladies, over to you.
All right, I'll just share my screen. Can everyone see that all right?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So Rachel, take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Yang. I am the governor for Western Canada, CKI, also known as WeCanCKI, and my partner here is Kai.
Yeah, so I'm Kai. I'm the Lieutenant Governor of Western Canada, and I just want to really quickly point out that our Secretary Treasurer, Sathya, also contributed to this presentation. And yeah.
Thank you, Kai. So right now we are both in our fourth year of molecular, cellular, and developmental biology at the University of Alberta. And Sathya is studying accounting. And today we will be talking about how we survived and thrived during the pandemic as CKI. If you have any questions, we will have a few minutes for questions at the end of our presentation. So to begin, I just want to say that I just want to introduce our club a little, our district a little bit with you all. So right now we have 4 official chartered clubs in the district, and we have one more coming pretty soon in Thunder Bay. And for the last year, we have been fortunate enough to have technology because we have been unfortunate enough to not be able to do many activities in person because most of our schools have shut down in-person activities. So for 2020, most of 2020, we've been doing online with a few exceptions. So in 2019, I'll give you a rundown of our district numbers. So you have an idea of where we are thriving. So in 2019, we had 96 members, but right now in 2020, we now have 104 members and counting. And so our year is not over yet, so hopefully we'll get a few more. But right now, we are at a solid growth in membership. And also, our fastest growing club in MidWinter has grown by 136% in the last year. And this is counted in terms of membership, in terms of service projects, and in terms of the number of K-family events that they did. So it's been a challenging year, but we've gotten through it through a lot of online activities and some in-person activities that we'll talk about in this presentation. Next slide.
Okay, so what's on the menu today, everyone? Well, we kind of made the scrapbook of memories for what we did this year. We're gonna begin with our communication system from the very beginning, how we did it, and then we'll talk about our socials and service events, and then we'll just end our presentation with a nice summary of what we took away from this year and how we think we thrived and survived. So. Now, to begin, at the beginning of the year, right off the bat, we really took communication seriously, and that was one of our main first steps to getting through this, what we foresaw as a challenging year. So what we did is we started out by reaching out early to each other, so each other being the other district officers on the district board. And then we also reached out to the clubs early on, so that'd be the presidents, the club executives, so to establish that rapport early, to make sure that they knew we were there for them, that we were going to set a precedent presidents that communication was going to be a main part of our year, because everything being online, it was already a challenge to build rapport with everyone else. But we really wanted to make a statement that communication was key. And throughout the year, we reached out consistently to really narrow that gap between us at the district level and the club level and their members, so that whether or not they needed any support and help, they could always come to us. So how we did this, how we communicated with them specifically, we did it through quarterly meetings with the governor and presidents. And what happened there was we set goals early on. We worked out goals with the clubs with each club president individually. And so we talked about some goals, where they wanted to go. And then we also made sure they understood that the goals didn't have to be extreme. We know it's difficult. It's going to be a difficult year, but we were here to help them to reach their fullest potential. Other things we did throughout the year, we also held President's Council meetings. So for us, we held it every Saturday. Oh, sorry, not every Saturday. The first Saturday of every month, bright and early. Well, it starts at 10 a.m., but it's bright and early for us university students. So during these meetings, I made sure to keep each other updated on what the clubs were doing, what they had done in the past month, and what they plan to do, and whether or not they needed any support from the district level, from other clubs, whether that just be advertising, be getting people to attend, and so on. And if they ever foresaw any challenges, this was a safe space for them to talk about any challenges they are currently facing or foresee that they will face. Other ways we communicated throughout the year was social media. So we really utilized and leaned into that social media. We did, social media really allows us two-way communication. So what I mean by that, for example, at the district level, we have our own social media platforms, but at the club level, they have their own social media platforms. And we shared each other's posts. I know that our bulletin editor, who is in charge of our district social media, was very, very on top of monitoring our club social media, so that he could share all the relevant information and post in a timely manner, and made some really, really fun graphics. So we also kept up communication by monitoring the monthly report forms from our clubs. So our Secretary Treasurer, Sakya, really loves collecting data. He's a upcoming accountant, so it's really up his alley to collect all this data and make some really nice graphs to summarize where the clubs are at with their membership, with their hours, with their events. So that helped out a lot. And our very own governor, Miss Rachel Yang, put out some very nice monthly updates. They were really fun. They had lots of graphics, but they were also at the same time very informative to keep everyone on top of the monthly happenings. And as always, we communicated as needed, because at our district, we really do believe that communication is key. It's a very old cheesy saying, but we do believe that communication is key. So communication aside, we did lots of fun things, and Rachel will tell you about this.
All right. Now, the tenets of CKI are service, fellowship, and leadership. So we do a lot of service, but we can't forget fellowship now that everyone's online and kind of separated from each other. Next slide, please. And so throughout the year, we did a lot of online games to create that bond. And so the one on the left you see here is Jackbox Party Pack 3. So if you think of a pack of board games, this is what it is, but online version. And so we purchased this from an online vendor for games, and we share the password like you would do for a Netflix password. And so we share the account information so that clubs can book times to use this with their officers or with their clubs to build rapport with their members. Next up, we have these tiles in the middle. They are called mahjong, and they are a traditional Chinese game that some of our district officers wanted to learn to play. And so we found an online version and we learned together, and that was a really fun time. So if you are a club that that sometimes does board games or card games at socials, you can definitely find ways to do that online. And if you want any links to those online board games, just let me know, and you can email me at the end. My email will be at the end of this presentation. Also, we did something called COVIDopoly. So it's Monopoly, except COVID version. And instead of money, you deal in terms of how many masks. And so that's been a lot of fun. It's very themed to this year. And so, yeah, it's a very fun game to play. And last but not least, our most popular game is Scribblio. And we played this at many of our events, including DCon. And what Scribblio is if you have ever played Pictionary, that's exactly what it is, except sometimes you'd have to draw with your mouse, and already bad drawings become even worse. So it's always very funny. So you pick a word and then you try to draw it, and everyone else tries to guess it. And then the game automatically tallies your points, and at the end you have a winner after a couple of rounds. That's also very, very fun. And if you want the link, it is scribble.io, just like as it is over here. Next slide, please. And also, we love cementing connections. So the picture on the right is us as a district board. So we have Kai on the top left, me on the bottom left, and then Sathya, our treasurer, on the top right, and then Livin on our bottom right. And so, yeah, we just love hanging out. And this was one day when we played COVIDopoly. So next page. Oh, and also we have Maple, who is our little mascot here.
Alrighty, so besides fun and games, we did do some professional development and had speakers come in because one of our CKI tenets is leadership. So during Fall Rally, we really leaned into what we thought was relevant to our audience or our members, being students. So we had speakers from the University of Alberta Academic Success Center, this year being mostly virtual learning. It's proven to be difficult for some. I myself, it's hard to keep yourself on track when all you have to do is watch endless videos upon endless videos. So we brought experts from the Academic Success Center that gave us study tips and ways to keep ourselves on track. We also brought in the U of A Financial Services experts that talked about student loans and possible financial aid during the pandemic. So the pandemic has impacted everyone differently. So we thought mental health was an important piece to talk about. So we also brought in an expert from jack.org, which is a nonprofit organization focusing on mental health. So they give us tips on how to take care of ourselves, how to not beat ourselves up over the challenges that we faced during the pandemic. And then we also had our lovely CKI president, Ms. Tana Early, come in and give us a little bit of her experience of volunteering and her experience in CKI during the pandemic. So we also had a workshop and some speakers at our DCon. So we have the University of Alberta Career Center come in, talk to us about resume basics. A lot of students are looking for jobs during the summer, so we felt this was really relevant for that job search. And then we also had some very inspirational speakers, Roland included. So thank you, Roland, for coming to our DCon. We had some speakers that talked to us at our keynote address and really inspired us about CKI as a whole and what we've been doing this year and what we can continue to do. So during that time, our CKI trustee, Tyler, also came to talk to us.
Now with service projects, we did quite a lot of those as well. Even though it has been mostly virtual this year, There have been things that we could do to work around COVID. Next slide, please. So one of those things is the so famous freerice.com. So freerice.com is basically a trivia website where you get to answer quizzes for different types of categories at different types of levels. And it is a website run by the UN World Food Program. And so it's, other than it being a COVID-friendly online service project, it also is a very meaningful service project because all the ad revenue that you get from this website actually goes to the World Food Program, and it goes to countries in need who need food, who need education, who need water, etc. And so for every question you get right, you donate X number of grains of rice. Sometimes it's 10 grains of rice, sometimes it's 1 grain of rice, depending on the time. And so it increases the knowledge of our members generally. It's fun. You can make it competitive. You can set up teams. And so they would, the website would automatically tally the number of grains of rice you donate. And by doing that, you can see who gets more questions right, or who donates more rice. And so it's a really fun way to give a really meaningful impact. And then the next thing is the exercise portion. And so as we're inside for most of the day, it is pretty difficult. It's getting harder to get those workouts in now that some of the gyms are shut down as well. And so we worked around it in several different ways. So last summer, we did what is called the Great Cycle Challenge, and it is a challenge run by the Great Cycle Challenge, and it's a fundraiser for Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto. And so that summer, that organization raised $9 million to fund kids' cancer research. And so that was something that we were really proud to be a part of. And so the guy in the middle right there is Livin. He is the he is the bulletin editor for WeCanCKI, and he's real proud there sitting on his bike. We also have Mia and Kai in front of actually what is known as the Kiwanis Park in Regina, Saskatchewan. And we were also biking that day. That day we biked 40 kilometers throughout the city, and it was really tiring. And as you can see, we've ridden over 1,300. Actually, it was closer to 1,500. We screenshotted these numbers before our final statistics. So we actually raised over $2,000 to fight kids' cancer, which we're really, really proud of. And on the left is something that we did during district convention way back in February. So the words are kind of hard to see, but what it essentially is we have different sets of exercises. And for every set of exercise you do, WeCanCKI donates a set amount of money to a charity. And so, for example, if you stretch for 2 minutes, you get 50 cents. And so we did this in breakout teams, and the breakout team leaders would tally these up. And at the end, whichever breakout team got the most exercise done could donate the most money with the funds of WeCanCKI. So that's been a very interesting way to beat the Zoom tiredness that we get from sitting in front of the computer all day. And some of the other things we did throughout the year was writing thank you notes for frontline healthcare workers. A lot of our clubs did this, and and we did this as well as a district. And so we would use a website called Canva, CANVA, and they have templates for cards. And so we would write messages, and then we would put all of those cards into a Google Drive folder. And then the event organizers would then send them virtually or printed out to different organizations. And so that is, and that has been something that was really fun. We also counted penguins as a citizen science project, and it's part of Zooniverse. And so that is a project where scientists put up projects for citizens to do, and it's really easy to learn, and you get to be a part of a scientific project, scientific research. Next slide, please. And so these are some of the organizations that we donated to as part of that workout program that we saw in the last slide. So half of our money went to Canadian Cancer Society, and then the other half of what we got went to the food banks of different organizations. And so total, we donated $460. Not that much, but hopefully enough to help support the food banks and Canadian Cancer Society a little bit. Also, two of our clubs also donated, did fundraisers for Black Lives Matter earlier in the year. And so those would be the MidWinter and the University of Alberta CKI clubs. And yeah, next slide, please.
Yeah, so other than socials, professional development, and service, we also had a fun weekend challenge just to get everyone hyped up during our events. Yeah, so just for fun, today we're gonna show you how we do it, since it's the morning, we're gonna bring a little bit of that energy. And Rachel, would you help me out by prompting me, and then I will be the members.
All right, who are we?
WeCanCKI.
What do we want?
We're here to win by changing the game. It's in our name. We can do it. Yes, we can. Go!
Oh, we can.
Yeah, so this was just a small thing that really helped hype up our members and bring that energy to our events. So we're gonna end today by talking a little bit about the lessons we took away from this year and how we thought we did it. So one of the things we learned this year was empathy and understanding. So through that constant communication of urgent struggles, clubs face, individual face, we understood that everybody was facing different challenges during a global pandemic. So, and to us, it was important to validate that these challenges are, in fact, challenging, and that we needed to set realistic goals for our clubs. We communicated with them, we talked to them, so some clubs were very ambitious, they wanted to grow their members crazy high, and we supported that. But other clubs thought, hey, maybe we won't get as many members this year, and maybe we'll focus on retaining the current members, and we also supported that. So throughout this, we really leaned into that empathy and understanding piece, just because at the end of the day, everyone is just a person. We're all people, and we're just trying our best. So another thing that we took away from this year was adaptability. So during a very unusual and different year, we had to come up with very different events. So throughout the year, we really leaned into online games. So whether that be Jackbox or a crowd favorite, Scribblio. So and we also even had some interesting exercise events that kind of killed me because I'm not as fit. But at the end of the day, we still really we thought it was key to keep things fun. So we did things that our members wanted to do. So we didn't just think about it from an executive point of view. We really wanted to see, hey, if I was a member, what kind of activity would I want to do? So the third thing that we took away from this was initiative. So we realized that truly passionate individuals get their work done. They make things go around. We were lucky this year to have some really dedicated and passionate members or club executives that helped us grow this year. For example, one of the club executives at the University of Calgary, they actually privately and directly messaged 100 people per day on social media to get them to join CKI over a span of 6 days. And through that, they increased their club members by, I believe, at least 100%. So they almost doubled their club members numbers, if not surpassed that. So those were the lessons we learned today. Well, we took away from this year and what we've summarized to this day. So before we end our presentation, we just want to bring to your attention one last initiative and fun thing we did this year, which is the Western Canada Cookbook. So what this is we got members of CKI throughout Western Canada District to contribute recipes. And we even had some Kiwanis contribute recipes to this cookbook. And we're currently selling this cookbook to raise money for WASH. So 50% of the proceeds will go to WASH, which stands for Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene. So they bring safe water, toiletry, and education about health and sanitation in general to underdeveloped regions like Haiti. And then 50% of the proceeds go to our district, which we will use to do events in the future and just create fun opportunities. So I know that I contributed some really fun recipes and delicious recipes. There's a couple Kiwanians that contributed some great recipes. I know there's a fantastic chili recipe in there that looks really easy, really delicious. And if any of you are interested, you can get this cookbook at our website, WeCanCKI.org/district cookbook, which Rachel will drop into the Zoom chat right now. So for the price of a coffee, so it's minimum donation of $4 or a maximum of whichever you want, what you can. So for the price of one coffee, you can get 28 delicious recipes. And trust me, they are delicious and they look great. I know because Rachel and I spent at least an hour doing a photo shoot for some of the food in that cookbook. So again, it's at WeCanCKI.org/district cookbook. So if any of you are interested, we would love to see some contributions. And that concludes our presentation today. So I just want to quickly thank all the Kiwanians that supported us this year, that gave us advice, and especially huge thank you to Roland for being there with us throughout those practice sessions for Fall Rally and decon. We know they were long and we really appreciate you being there. And Rachel, do you have any last words?
Thank you so much for having us, everyone. If you have any questions, you can email me at gov.wecancki@gmail.com. And if you have questions for me after March 31st, you can email me at the link in the chat. Thank you so much, and we'll take any questions that you may have.
Don't you feel the energy of CKI? Many of our clubs have struggled, had a hard time adapting to the challenge. I think from what you've heard, a round of applause to CKI. They are indeed thriving. These are our future leaders. Any questions? We've got a few minutes for questions.
Scott here from Thunder Bay.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thanks. It's very inspiring. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for being here.
I have a question. What is a decon? I'm an old guy.
Sorry about that. I can answer. Yeah. So decon stands for District Convention. It's an annual convention that the WeCanCKI district does. And at that convention, we do some voting on the next year's officers. We do service, we do socials, and we do some workshops.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Barry here from Medicine Hat. It's good to see you, Rachel and Kai. Wonderful presentation, really great. I wish we could get you to come and visit some of our clubs actually in person when we get going again, because we're going to want to snap you up as members wherever you're living. I do have just a comment about the cookbook. Roland and I have sort of been just giving some guidance with the financial end of it, and it's amazing. If you want to order a cookbook, do so. Do it now. Don't wait. Go online. Make it happen. These young folks wanted to raise $100 to donate, and they raised over 200. So they doubled their expectations right away. And I'm sure that we can push that a lot higher and really make it wonderful. By the way, the recipes are terrific. And this is a quality piece of work. These folks have put together a really beautiful cookbook. And if you're a cookbook collector, Go ahead. You'll want this in your collection. You can print it out, and really awesome. I mean, we're still at the point where we want hard copies, but you can print it out on your printer, and it looks fantastic. And some of the recipes are unbelievable. So go ahead and do it. Don't wait.
Very.
So we've got time for one or two more questions.
Do you want us to raise hand?
No, Joanne, you're okay. Go ahead.
Thank you very much for your presentation. One of the things I noticed, though, is your facility being young people with all sorts of technological things, which is something that I think has been some of the biggest challenge for some of us is, using these online platforms or recognizing all of the things for virtual service projects. So it'd be lovely to see some of that shared through our own group, and the games, the fun things. I mean, we did have a karaoke virtual sing-along at our Christmas event, but we realize what bad singers we all are when we're not in a big group. But so some of the fun activities were very intriguing, but also finding these ways to contribute with your exercise programs and things like that, very intriguing. So congratulations on all the innovative and creative work, and it gets us kind of inspired too. Thanks.
Thank you, Joanne.
Thank you.
Yes, I had the opportunity to participate, to share that excitement through Fall Rally and their district convention. And it is amazing. And I think you talk about seizing the opportunity. I've been very lucky as the COVID governor. I've been to every province. I think I haven't shaken a hand yet in my term, but I've probably seen more clubs and made a lot of mileage from my living room to my office, a lot of miles if you actually put it on a map, and taking the opportunity for what the technology allows us to do, to reach out, to broaden that sense of community, to do things like socializing, having fun meetings, fundraising. And I know there are a couple of sessions later in the work stream talking about the virtual cafe, some of those electronic resources available, what clubs have been doing to adapt their activities, and other items in the membership stream about clubs that have showcased their club in the pandemic.